The idea behind the regimen was to provide a concise collection of daily warm-up exercises that would help improve snare drum technique across a broad range of disciplines, including single strokes, multiple strokes, flams, rolls, soft playing, etc. So the best way to use this book is, if you haven't already, you want to have a solid block of time every day, 30 minutes to an hour minimum, where you're just working on your hands and all of these various technical challenges in snare drumming. So this is before you start practicing your etudes and your recital rep and whatever you have assigned at the moment. The idea here is you're improving your technical facility and your comfort level on the drum across the board. So when you get into your Delacluse 9 or whatever you're practicing, the etude itself will be far easier to learn, and you'll be free to focus on things like musicality and dynamics, and you'll be less hung up on the technical challenges of that specific piece. Now the good news here, the exercises in the regimen are pretty symbiotic. So as you're practicing your single strokes and your double strokes, by association, those are going to be improving your paradiddles and your flam taps, which are basically triple beat. So working in each section individually is going to improve the whole as well. Quickly, I want to go over the hand and finger positions I have pictured at the beginning of the introduction. And I named these the claw and the fisherman, which are really just silly names for a couple of hand positions that I would suggest you shy away from. The negative here is both of these sort of take the fingers out of play, and we really want to avoid that. So the claw, clearly the fingers are off the stick, and for things like crush rolls and double strokes, we're going to have to add pressure and pinching in the thumb and forefinger to achieve the same result we could with a little bit of assistance from the fingers. Now, I know some people will go back and forth and might roll some way like this and then play the rest of their drumming with the fingers around. And while that's definitely doable, what you're adding is a bit of coordination and switching that's really just unnecessary. So the fisherman, like the claw, takes the fingers out of play, and then we're locking the back of the stick with the back fingers. So this is a problem because we've taken the pivot point, the balance point of the stick, and we've moved it to the back of our hand. So now the rotation of the stick has to happen at the back, and our only way to assist it is with the wrist. Okay, so again, we've taken these fingers out of play. So we want to keep the fulcrum, the pivot point, at the front, and keep our fingers in a position where they can assist us. I also want to go over the 3 muscle groups. So there's clearly more muscle groups involved in playing. We're going to have our chest, shoulder, back, but for our purposes I want to focus on fingers, wrist, and arm. So the arm is going to include forearm and upper arm in this case. So the general stroke then would be a transfer of energy from our largest muscle to our smallest muscle. And this kind of fits in line with the molar stroke as well. So we're going to initiate the stroke in the arm. It's going to go through the wrist and finish in the fingers. Seems very obvious. Depending on the specific technique we're using and what we're trying to play, these muscle groups are going to be involved to varying levels. So some things, let's say fast, low singles, it wouldn't make much sense for me to use a majority arm for those, when I could use a majority fingers. And that way I'm much less tense, and I actually can play much faster with these smaller muscles. Likewise, if I'm playing loud, accented heavy notes, I don't necessarily want to snap. Sometimes it will be appropriate, but generally that doesn't mean that I should pop it and use more velocity. More often than not, maybe I just want to use a little more height and weight with the arm. So maybe forte just means height as opposed to snap or velocity. So these are ideas that we'll return to again and again throughout the regimen, and you'll want to take notice of the gray tips boxes throughout the regimen, which many times will give you suggestions for how to use these 3 muscle groups.